Hey, rock scene viewers, listeners, I just tell you a quick story about what really made me play music and what really got me into the whole thing was when I was a kid. I was about 4 years old in the 50s, and I had big teenage sisters, and Elvis Presley came on TV, and I sat there and watched him go nuts. And even at 4 years old, I thought, wow, that's really cool. But mainly, I really dug the music. Like, I really liked Elvis when he first came out because it was different. My dad listened to country and western all the time. So when I was about 5 or 6, that was it, early on then. But then when I was about 9 or 10, I had this little paper route, and I got paid first month, and I went and I bought Elvis Presley's single, and I didn't even have a record player. That's how impressed I was with the whole thing about being a rock star. I mean, we didn't call them rock stars back then, but Elvis Presley was probably the first one that did that to me. Then I remember going over to my uncle's house, and he had a guitar. And he opened it up, and he didn't know how to play very good, but he started playing it, and I saw those little dots on the neck. And those little dots were like, wow, you push on those and it makes that sound, So I thought you push the dots to get the noise out of the guitar. So the first time I got to touch a guitar, I started pushing on them dots and nothing happened. And that intrigued the hell out of me. I'm saying, whoa, what's going on here, So that's really what made me start playing guitar, was a curiosity about how that noise come out of it. And I was never attracted to piano. I'd look at the black white keys, it looked too complicated to me. I thought I could play guitar, and I liked the idea of holding it and standing up like Elvis did. So that's the road I took, and just one thing led to another, and I fell in love with music, and I fell in love with playing guitar and singing songs, and then I started writing songs, and next thing you know, I was a rock star. I think the first record that I bought as an album was probably the Rolling Stones' first album, or 12 by 5, somewhere around there. And they came to San Bernardino Swing Auditorium as their first American concert, and I went. I don't think I was old enough to drive. My friend was driving. I don't think I was, but I might have been. Anyway, we walked in, and I saw the Stones. I said, that's it, I'm going to do that. And then I became, from Elvis era to more of a Beatles Stones era, the whole English invasion. And then I never really thought about being a great guitar player. I just used the guitar to play songs so I could sing. And then I saw Cream, their first American performance, and I bought the Fresh Cream album, and I got my first guitar, and I learned every song on the Fresh Cream album, and I learned to play every lick Eric Clapton played, every solo, note for note, wore out records on a record player. So that was the first real musical experience where I decided I wanted to be a singer and a guitar player, and be a lead guitar player and lead singer. So I'd say Cream is a great big influence for that. The rock scene in the 80s was the heyday, man. That was when we had more fun being rock stars. Anyone that missed out on the 80s and the 90s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, that 30 years I was part of all that. 73, Montrose, all the way through. And that's the highlight of my life as far as playing the role of a rock star, living the life of a rock star, driving the fast cars, having all the women, the drugs, the rock and roll, making all the money, spending it on anything and everything, living carefree, didn't think about tomorrow, really throwing the party. The 80s were it, man. The groupies, it was all true. It was beyond your wildest dreams. And I don't think that is really the same scene going on today, but there's a good scene going on right now. Rock's having a pretty good little resurgence, I think. When I started getting my original trip together, I wanted to be a San Francisco style band when the Grateful Dead and Big Brother and Holding Company and Quicksilver Messenger Service and those kind of bands were around. I wanted to be one of those kind of bands. They seemed to be, to me, more my style than the glitter glam LA strip thing. So I came back into Van Halen later after all that came and went. They went that route. I went San Francisco. When we came together, it was a nice little blend because I think the San Francisco scene was pretty soulful. Those people were really having a good time and playing real music, and it was less Hollywood pretentious, like, you need a hit. Those bands didn't even care about a hit, Most of them just wanted to play and jam. They were kind of more jam bands, and I was always that kind of guy. When men dressed like women, yeah, that was the trip. I was part of that scene, and it was like I used to shop at women's stores. I'd go buy women's clothes, women's shoes, not like dresses, but, like tops and things, And because men's stuff, that before then, there was no cool men's stuff. the hair bands in the 80s and that whole thing created a fashion for men finally. The men's stores started making cool men's clothes and cool men's shoes, you know, platforms and high boots and all that, you know. You couldn't buy those things. They didn't make them for men. So in London, you could once in a while, you know, they'd make a velvet jacket or something. But yeah, it was a trip. That was, you had to really invent your own stuff if you wanted to go that route in the early days. It was cool. It was fun dressing up like that, you know, getting and putting a costume on and going out on stage. Now that part of rock is really fun. It would get old to me now at my age if I was dressing up, you know, and doing like if I had to get in those Kiss costumes every night, I'd be going, oh, not again, please. But it was fun for a while because you get to play a role. You know, you act like somebody you're not. You can play a role, and playing a role sometimes is fun. It's like having sex, you know, with the mask on. This is Rock Scene Magazine, 1977, May issue, and look who's on the back. That's me from an album called The Red. It's really just a Sammy Hagar album, but it was the Red album, and shot by Hypnosis. Album cover had the song Red on there, and there you go. 77, and I'm still here, and I ain't going nowhere. We actually am going somewhere, going everywhere.